Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Weekend Walkoff, right here on the House Always Wins Media Network. My name is David Casper, and I am super excited to be here on this channel, not only as a content creator, but as someone who is consuming all the great stuff that Booney and the boys have been putting out. Man, a lot of great A's content. I remember being a kid, sitting on the bus, reading the San Francisco Chronicle, and getting a couple of paragraphs from Susan Slusser about the A's. But now here we are in 2026, and we got our own media network with a lot of talented individuals talking about the A's, having great conversations. It's amazing. So here we are with the Weekend Walkoff. What is the Weekend Walkoff? And who am I to be hosting this show? Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. This is actually pretty nerve-wracking because the guys on this channel have been doing such great stuff, and they're covering like every angle. What left is there for me to talk about? Well, I'm not going to stress out about that. I'm just going to have fun. Like I said, I'm a diehard A's fan. I got the Coliseum tattooed on my arm. And where's my other A's tattoo? There it is, the elephant. I'm a diehard, okay? I have been my whole life, and I will remain a diehard fan even when they're in Las Vegas. More on that in a moment. But I just want to introduce myself. I have been, for the past 15 years, the art director at NBC Sports Bay Area in California, the broadcast home of the A's, as well as the other Bay Area teams, as you know. So it's been a lot of fun working behind the scenes in sports television, especially for the team that I love. Now, in 2020, I moved my family from the Bay Area to Boise, Idaho. We were working remotely at the time, and things were crazy. And I just looked at home prices in Idaho, and I looked at our home value in Petaluma, California at the time, and made the decision to uproot the family and move to Idaho. It was a great decision. But anyways, my work, NBC Sports said, at any moment we could call you back. So that time finally came. In this January, when I was home in California and in office, my boss let me know that, hey, they're ending remote work, so we're calling everybody back to office. The job is yours, but you have to be here in the Bay Area. And I politely said, actually, it was a very emotional conversation because I knew my time with the job that I absolutely loved was coming to an end. And so they gave me a couple more months within the company just to kind of like ease the transition. And yeah, so basically April 1st was my first day away from NBC Sports for the first time in 15 years. So it's kind of crazy. And I'm doing this now, which is scary in and of itself. Bear with me as I kind of get grounded in how this all works out. I was the art director there. I'm a motion graphic designer, and I love working in Photoshop and doing Photoshop edits. And I want to incorporate a lot of that stuff into this show, but that's going to have to build slowly. I couldn't work on anything in regards to the show while I was still with NBC Sports. And now that I'm not with them, I can do it and get creative here for this show. But it just started yesterday. So I figured that today would be a great opportunity for me to basically introduce myself to you. Now, I'm an A's fan because when I was a kid, we used to visit my grandpa in Gridley, California. We'd drive 3 hours to Gridley from Novato, and we'd go to his house in Gridley, and all my grandpa liked to do was sit on the couch in his lazy boy chair and watch A's baseball. And at the time, 1987, I wasn't into it. I was just kind of like, Grandpa just likes to watch baseball, so I'll just go there and watch baseball with him, I guess. And I ended up sitting on the floor next to Grandpa, and we would have the A's on, and I would see players like Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire. And at the time, I started just picking up a ball and a bat and playing baseball myself in the backyard with my friends. And very quickly, every time I came to the plate in my backyard games, I would pretend I was Jose Canseco or Mark McGwire. And yeah, that was how it all started out. And then the very next year, they go to the World Series against the Dodgers. I started my very first year of Little League. I believe I wore number 33. I can't remember, but I wanted to be Jose Canseco, like I said. And I went to my very first A's game in 1989. It was actually one of the first games that Rickey Henderson was back, and he hit a home run in that game. I won tickets from a readathon, and my dad took me to the game. And I still remember the very first time walking into the Oakland Coliseum as a kid, watching the baseball games on TV for a year and a half, and just being amazed by Major League Baseball, this new, a wonderful thing. And I remember walking into the Coliseum, getting a program, and then I also got a souvenir. It wasn't a stomper, it was a teddy bear with the A's hat and an A's jersey. My dad bought me that. And I remember walking into the concourse and getting a glimpse of that green field for the first time. Like I said, I got chills standing up right now. And from that day forward, like the A's, this is, well, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but the A's have just been a part of my DNA since then. It did something to me. The A's won. I saw a Rickey Henderson home run. It was just magical, and I'll never forget it.
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
And I couldn't even, just we could jump further into this story. But when I found out the A's were going to part ways with the Bay Area and head to Las Vegas, yeah, a little bit of sense of panic kind of came in because, oh my gosh, like my team, everything, the number one team that I love in all pro sports, even more than the Raiders, who I also love. That's another conversation. Forgive me if you hate the Raiders.
Just win, baby.
But I love the Raiders very much, and they had moved to Vegas, so I thought, okay, I've done okay with the Raiders being in Vegas, and I'll have to make do with the A's being in Vegas now too. I was still disappointed though. I even went through a thought process, and I did an exercise, a mental exercise of, well, I just find a new baseball team. I could be a Giants fan, right? Because I don't hate the Giants. I grew up going to a lot of Giants games as well with friends. And so I don't love the Giants, but I like the Giants. If the Giants win or lose, it does nothing to me physically. It does nothing to my emotions. But when the A's win or lose, it does do something to me. Like, so that's the difference. It could really mess me up, or it could really bring me up. That being said, when I found out they were going to move to Vegas, it was a tough pill to swallow, but I was just going to go with it. Now, I get why a lot of people are bailing on the A's. I get why a lot of fans were so turned off with John Fisher and the whole stadium process, and what felt like a big deception and a big backstab by the team, the front office, and I don't know, maybe even people in the city. I'm not sure. Booney is really well versed on all that stuff when it comes to the politics of the A's moving. By the way, check out how amazing. Oh man, come on. Where's the sweet spot? Come on. Look at that. That is an Oakland Athletics mug that I got in, I think 1990. No, I got it at Christmas. I have 1989, and it's the 1989 World Champions A's mug, and it's a prized possession. This used to be very vivid, but over the time, it's just kind of faded away. But what kind of A's nostalgia memorabilia do you have that you just like? It's just something simple like a mug, but you find it to be like your prized possession. Share. I get why people bailed on the A's. I thought about it. I did the thought exercise of not being an A's fan. Yeah, and I honestly, it just was like I said, when I walked into the Coliseum and I saw the field, it went into my DNA. And there's nothing outside of the A's maybe moving to Portland. I don't think I could root for a team in Portland. Just whatever. If it has to be Vegas, then I honestly, if I had to pick another city for my team to go, there's two cities that I would be excited for the A's to go to besides something in the Bay Area. or California, like Sacramento. I would love if the A's went to Nashville because my time in the military, that's another story. But I was with the 101st Airborne Division after 9/11, and they are about 45 minutes away from Nashville. So my wife and I spent a lot of time in Nashville, and we just had a blast being in that area and fell in love with the town. So if the A's represented Nashville, that'd be cool. The Sounds used to be their AAA affiliate, which are now who are in Nashville, and I love that connection. Anyways, the other place I thought would be awesome to call home for the A's would be Vegas. I mean, Vegas likes to put on a show. And to be honest with you, I think being an A's fan, and this is just my take, and I get that there's a part, and it is part of my fandom for the A's, but I love the fact that they're blue collar. I love the fact that they're not fancy. And I have even more stories about A's media days compared to Giants media days that I could talk about later down the road that I will talk about. But I'm just looking forward to the A's having an opportunity to have something shiny and nice and to be the spotlight of Major League Baseball and to be the home for All-Star games and hopefully World Series, of course. And I know it's going to be weird. I know that there's, we could rag on the fact that there's probably going to be a lot more of the opposing team fans in the stands than there are actual A's fans. I think that's just got to be one of the things that the franchise has to work on. It's part of their story, winning over the community, winning over the area. Raiders are still trying to do it. Hopefully they can do it. Hopefully the A's can do it too, and I hope that they arrive with a team in Vegas that is just a stellar representation of what has been. What's the word? Climaxing to. Oh, such a dirty word, climax. Anyways, Vegas, I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool because I want to have a stadium where there's going to be really cool statues in front of, like bronze statues of famous A's players. I'd love for them to have just a beautiful showroom, and I'd love the world to see that. And I would love for it to have worked in the Bay Area, but the fact that the A's story is going to continue on in this part of their history being in Oakland and Sacramento, but it being on display for the world to see in the Major League Baseball facility that represents Las Vegas, a mecca for people that are visiting for entertainment, and they're going to see it and they're going to become familiar with all these great teams, and there's going to be a lot of people that probably fall in love with the team just by looking back at it. But yeah, anyways, Vegas sounds cool to me. All right, now let's talk about the first week of the season. Like, what the was that? I think on this network, there are already so many great shows that are diving deep and giving you all the stats and analysis that you need. But I think just kind of in this show, I'd like it to be a little bit more conversational and just kind of like, I mean, we could definitely get deep into some conversations, but I don't think it has to be stat driven or facts driven at that. I definitely want to keep this conversational and be like a really good friend that loves the A's and loves talking about the A's. That's my hope for this show and my approach to it. Now, starting the season 1-5 is definitely not what I expected. I'm sure it's not what you expected. I thought 2-4 was very possible, just winning one game in each series, one in Toronto, one in Atlanta. But starting the season 1-5, it's concerning, but it's nothing to panic over. The reason why I think it's concerning the way I'm experiencing it is because last year, when we were in that awful 20-game losing streak, you get to this point where you're just kind of like, you feel like you can't win another one, and then I don't know, it feels like it just builds on itself, and I just don't want the A's to get into something like that. Like if we come out of this, like if we're like 2-9 and just like starting the season that way, Like, that's not good. And sometimes what happens is we start off like this, and then we have just one of those incredible months of, whether it's May or June, where we win. I don't know, we only lose like 5 games that month. And we turn it around. And I think that's one of those, that's what's going on this season. I think that this season is one of those seasons where we're going to be figuring out and learning some new household names as we go along. But, could be, it could be rough for a little bit. I remember in 2012, probably my favorite Oakland A's season ever. But I remember that season just starting off like that roster was abysmal. And I remember, for me, the spark plug that I remember the most was when Brandon Inge came on the team. And just something happened to the team. Like, all of a sudden their identity took place and they got this new confidence. Something like that's going to have to happen. Now, I think batting Nick Kurtz on leadoff spot, I mean, he's not supposed to be up there. And it changed the identity of the lineup. The lineup didn't know what they were and what their roles were, or where they fit into it, in my opinion. I think that having somebody at the third, having someone like Nick Kurtz has to be at the heart of the lineup. Just has to be, at least for this team. And so I think someone like Jacob Wilson is better at the leadoff spot, but at the same time, he doesn't walk enough, in my opinion. So they're going to have to figure things out. And people are going to have to emerge in that role. I'd love for Jacob Wilson to emerge in that role and walk more. But we'll see. I'm not sure how it's going to pan out. But that was a big disappointment, but I'm not worried about it. All right, I think it's a no-brainer for the A's Player of the Week for the first week of this 2026 season. Without a doubt, it's our boy, Shea Langoliers. Amazing numbers. He's batting .375, 5 home runs, which leads the league's currently 8 RBIs, 9 hits. He's got 9 hits, 5 of them are home runs. We want to talk about finding the barrel. Wow. He is emerging as one of the top offensive stars in the game and arguably the best offensive catcher in the game, even in comparison to our friend in Seattle, Mr. Cal Raleigh. My letdown of the week has got to be Jacob Lopez. Yeah, I was really looking forward to seeing him on the mound. Only 4 innings. He walks 5, strikes out none. I'm also not ecstatic about the fact that our team broke a Major League Baseball record for strikeouts to open a series, or whatever it was, to open the season, or in a certain amount of innings. I'm not sure what it was. I didn't want to dig deep into that stat because it's embarrassing and it's sad. But striking out 50 times, we just were not hitting anything. Our approaches were awful. We were going down 0-2 constantly. I don't know. Something really felt off the first couple of games. And I think a lot of it had to do, and I know we over talk about it, but the fact that Nick Kurtz was batting leadoff, I think it just kind of shuffles the deck and makes it so people don't kind of know their role in the lineup. Maybe that's overthinking it, but just didn't feel right with him up there. Now, when it comes to the play of the week, I think it's without a doubt, everybody knows what it is. Denzel Clark, another amazing home run robbery, this time against, who was it, Drake Baldwin and the Braves. Man, I mean, just when you think that, that Denzel Clark makes these amazing plays, and they're few and far between. And maybe, we saw a couple last year, but how big of an impact is he? How much value does he bring to the team on defense if he's making one of those plays every once in a while? But with him, it seems like it's constantly happening. I mean, this was only the first week, and we've already seen an amazing Denzel Clark catch that we will probably see in highlight reels all year and potentially for decades. And we've already seen it. The A's love it. He brings a lot of attention to the A's, even though he's a below average bat, in my opinion, for what he brings to the table when it comes to defense and when it comes to going viral and on social and getting the brand out there. I think he's extremely valuable. And after that catch, I don't really see how you can not put him in the lineup regularly. I think he's earning it, and I think he's showing that a defensive standout can be the reason why you're in the bigs and in the lineup regularly. And that's pretty cool. It sucks when he hits into a double play or when he kills a rally by striking out. But man, there he is making amazing plays again. Denzel Clark, tip the cap to you, brother. All right, let's look at what's ahead for the Green and Gold and their home opener in Western Sacramento versus the Houston Astros. We have Jeffrey Springs going today, and his nice tidy little 3.3 ERA will be going up against Christian Javier. On Saturday, we have Luis Morales going up against Tatsuya Ima. Both these guys are going to be battling rough starts their first time out, and they will be competing to get the W for their team. On Sunday, we have Jacob Lopez going up against Lance McCullers. This is going to be another tough outing for the A's. I'm looking for Jacob Lopez to rebound. Looking for everybody on the damn team to rebound except for Shea Langoliers. Anyways, that's going on this weekend. Those are the matchups. I'm looking for the A's to take 2 out of 3 here. I think we're going to get the first 2, and I think we're going to lose the third one. Something tells me that Saturday game isn't going to go well for Mr. Ima and the Houston Astros. I just have a hunch. Call me crazy. But we'll see what happens. I think we're going to take those first 2 games. We're going to lose the one on Sunday. And that's going to be how the weekend plays out. Some standout performances I'm looking forward to see. I think Rooker's already locked in. I think we're going to see Rooker hit his first home run or 2 this upcoming series. And look for Nick Kurtz to do what he does to the Houston Astros. What better series for the big Amish to break out than against the Houston Astros, a team in which he just hits all over the place. But that's coming up this weekend in Western Sacramento. It's going to be a fun weekend of watching A's baseball. One of the cool things about this past week of A's baseball is, I really thought that I was going to have a lot more opportunities to be at home, sitting at home watching the games and really taking notes and taking it all in. But the truth of the matter is with a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old who plays baseball and a 5-year-old daughter and being married and having a whole bunch of stuff going on, like I found myself watching the games on the go, listening on the radio. But the group chat of all the guys that are part of this network, it has been really fun to be a part of. I haven't really been contributing a lot to it because I'm still trying to kind of like introduce myself to this whole thing. They don't know really who I am or what I'm all about. And so I just don't want to be like, hey guys, these guys have been doing a lot of work for the past month, doing great content, doing a lot of research. And man, they're a lot of fun to watch and engage with in this chat group. They're just passionate about the A's. They love this team and they really want the best for them. They're excited about the future in Las Vegas. So these are guys that you can really get on board with early as this thing is growing. These aren't a bunch of disgruntled A's fans that are just bashing the ownership and the move to Las Vegas over and over and over again. These guys are interested about what's happening on the field. They're passionate about the team they grew up loving, and they're passionate about what's going to be happening in the future. And I'm just glad to be a part of that. Really fun group. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. There's so much more awesome content coming out here on the House Always Wins podcast media network or whatever it is. Thanks for watching the Weekend Walkoff. I'm looking forward to building this with you. We're going to make it a lot of fun. It's going to have a lot of interesting segments. I just wanted to really introduce myself to you. Once again, I'm David Casper. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.